Every day on this planet feels, well, dystopian. Join us as we talk about plastic surgery, our next dystopian novel, and how we would survive the apocalypse. Enjoy. Hello, Cinti.
Hi, Chanel.
Back at it once again.
Yep, with the Yap session.
Exactly.
Yep.
So, in our day and age,
Already.
you know, we're getting into it.
Yep.
Why is everybody touching their face?
You know
what I mean?
why.
Why are they touching their face?
You know why.
They were already touching the body, which is still extra, but your face.
You want to know something that I just realized when
What?
you said touching the body? Black in the body, but white in the face.
Oh,
What is that?
oh.
You know what I mean? Like, I just realized that. And speaking of that as well, recently, actually, before we jump to that, because I'm about to get into a deep dive into plastic surgery, because ADHD brain. But to the original thing you were saying is, why is everybody touching their nose? And I feel like it has to be anti-blackness, right? Because a lot of people are saying they don't like the way their nose looks on their face. And most of the time, I'm just like, your nose looks like it belongs on your face. And I'm specifically talking about the black people who get nose jobs, because I'm not well versed in any other person who's getting nose jobs. But the black people who end up getting nose jobs, their noses look less black, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Some people get really good nose jobs where it's like, your nose job, you still look like you have a black nose. But when I see the nose that you were born with compared to the one that you got touched up,
You should have stuck with your normal nose.
yeah.
There's very small amount of cases, because obviously there's people who have like deviated septums or like something is egregiously wrong to where it needs to be corrected. We're not talking about that.
Or they break their nose.
Yeah, you break your nose. We're not talking about that, obviously. But there's a lot of people, black, white, Asian, whatever you are. We know very well who you are. Stop touching your face. The whole thing. Stop touching it.
Yeah.
Stop touching it. Because, okay, there's certain levels to this, right?
Okay.
My first issue is when you get plastic surgery, you're going to get more plastic surgery.
Yeah, because you have to maintenance it.
You have to maintain.
Because over time, it's like the stuff will dissolve or it will shift or move. Like, you'll need to get it done again.
Yes. And so that's already its own thing. And plastic surgery is very expensive. And you don't want to be going out of the country and all that stuff because your doctor's not with you. They might have different practices
want to know something?
and all that.
Actually, now that you mention it, again, ADHD.
ADHD.
There was somebody that I saw on TikTok who went to Korea to get, I think it was like Juvederm, or I don't know what it was called, but something put under the eye. Then I was reading the comments where people were like, don't get that under the eye.
Dangerous.
And she's like, I think I'm blind in this eye now.
Oh my God.
I haven't been able, it's times like this when I see information that pops up on my feed that I wish that I wrote down the name of the person, because I don't know how else to, I guess if I Googled girl who goes blind from whatever, I can get the update. But she was crying because I can't remember. I think she was like a crocheter or something, where it's like, she's like, my eyesight, it was something where her eyesight was very important to her work. And she's like, I may not be able to ever do what I love ever again.
Yeah. And that's another point, that this is surgery, people. Surgery. Even if you go into the doctor and you just get a little injection here, it's still a procedure, and you could die, you could be maimed, you could be worse than you are right now.
Yeah. All procedures.
All procedures. Anything.
Even if it's surgery, it's a surgery that you have to get. There's always a risk of things going wrong. There's always a risk of, they always say the probability or possibility percentage that you might die or something bad will happen. It's always something bad that will happen or could happen.
There's always a chance.
Right? Because it's never like it's 100% going to work 100% of the time. Because there's always a statistic, right? It's like, how else do you get the statistic where it says, fail rate is 2%. So out of 100 people, that means 2 people fail.
Yeah. And what's the failure? You could die.
Yeah.
You could be maimed for the rest of your life. You could be in pain, chronic pain. You don't want that smoke.
Exactly.
Ain't nobody want that smoke.
Nobody wants that.
But yeah, I just want people, be who you are. You know what I mean? Like, just accept your face. Accept it. Just enjoy it. This is what you look like. And then another issue with plastic surgery, you get plastic surgery and you jump out of the timeline of human aging.
It's true.
You're in the Matrix.
Yeah.
You're somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because I be looking at some people and you're like, we always do this. Like, we'll send each other people and we're like, how old is this person?
That's my favorite game.
Whenever they have plastic surgery, we normally get it wrong.
Oh, always.
Because it makes you look
significantly older.
So much older, but then you're like, you have no wrinkles on your face, but you look like you're 45. Mm-hmm. So it's very confusing.
Yeah.
But you're 20. So.
Yeah. And then what's also so interesting to me is kind of like tying back to the point with the nose. Like, if you break your nose, I don't know if technology has changed, but I remember when I was younger, the thing is, like, when your nose is broken, it will never look the same again. Mm-hmm. Like, doctors will try to do their best to get your nose to be similar to what it was before, but you're always going to be in that uncanny valley, right? And so I think the same thing, and I wonder the same thing about people who get plastic surgery, right? Even if you dissolve it, does it actually fully dissolve? And at that point, you actually don't even know what you could potentially truly have looked like because you had gotten the plastic surgery in the first place. Because it's like for us, right? Mm-hmm. We can't go back in time and get plastic surgery and move back up to where we're 28, 29 years old and be like, oh yeah, we look different. Yeah. Either we have plastic surgery and we've had it for 10 years or we don't.
Yeah. And to that point, you know, they were saying that filler. Yeah. They were saying for years, like, hey, it's a, you know, new hip thing, get filler in your face, it'll make you look so much younger, da, da, da. And it dissolves, it just dissolves in your skin and you can just dissolve it and it will go away and whatever. Yeah. It does not go away.
Where does it go?
It stays in your face. You can dissolve it, there will always be filler in your face.
That's not surprising. Yeah. Let me guess, it goes into like fat cells or something?
Something like that. You know, nobody knows
what's happened on the inside.
Yeah. Yeah. And so there's people who've gotten lip filler. You will forever have lip filler and your lips will never look originally how you had them. There will always be some amount of filler in your face and your lips. And then, you know, you see certain celebrities and you're like, oof, their heads look this big.
Well, that's because I think there was like people who were getting fillers and stuff. Like there was one woman who the person injected her with,
cheek implants as well and all that
cheek implants. But no, hers was like she was supposed to get filler. And the doctor put like, there was somebody who had something against her. They filled her with cement.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
Yeah. She's still alive. And they're trying to figure out ways to get that out. But I need to look what her name is. But I was reading on it where she was like, trying to stay youthful, trying to get a little bit of filler, touch up here, and the person did her dirty and was like cement.
Yeah, that's the same thing with the people touching their body. There was a huge thing of people putting like industrial construction grade silicone and cement in the behind area
for BBLs.
And killing people or maiming people.
Yeah. I mean, even still now with technology and doing things right, getting a BBL is one of the most dangerous surgeries that you can get. Yeah. All for it to dissolve.
Yeah. Yay.
Or not dissolve, sorry, because it's fat transfer. If you lose weight, you can lose weight in your butt because you're losing fat.
Absorb it.
Yeah.
They don't know what's going to happen. They just do it and good luck. And then if you get breast implants, there's breast implant sickness. And so people were getting sick from their breast implants and not even knowing it. There's certain people, I think some people have developed like lupus or like other chronic inflammatory diseases of some sort just from having these plastic surgery things done because their body's like, what did you know? Yeah. And so, yeah, I can't get down with it.
I mean, my thing is this, right? I'm never going to do it for myself. But like, if you know what the risks are and you're willing to live with those risks, I'm not going to stop you, right? Because I know there's certain people, it's all an image thing. Yeah. It's all where it's like, you don't like what you see in the mirror. You want to make a change. You have the money to do so. You make a change. And more often than not, it works out in your favor. You're fine, dandy, whatever. Do what you need to do. It's your life. It's your money. But my thing is like, I feel like sometimes there's some people, and again, I'm not well versed. I don't talk to a lot of people about this. Not a lot of the people that I'm around are interested in getting these types of surgeries. Yeah. But I feel like a lot of the conversation when I was younger was like, oh, I'm going to just do this. I'm going to get this and this and this. Like, I'm going to get a boob job. I'm going to do da-da-da. And they did not know the possible repercussions on it. And they were just kind of doing it lackadaisical. Where it's like, I know there's some people now that I knew who were trying to get fillers in like college.
Oh my God.
College. And now they're just like, I regret ever starting. I didn't understand what repercussions it was going to have on me because young, whatever. It's like, I'm not going to be the one to be like, you can't do any surgery. I'm not policing you. Do whatever you want.
You do what you want.
I don't care.
But I'm going to be looking like this.
You could be, I'm just going to be like, okay.
I'm going to be looking like this. It's going to be me. But you go off, sis.
You do you.
But yeah, so I don't know. It's just sad to me because it's like, one, a lot of people get work done when they're young. And it's like, one, you don't know what you're going to look like in the future. Like, you could get a second puberty or whatnot. No woman looks the same as they did when they're 18.
Actually, there was somebody that I saw on TikTok again on a podcast talking about how she got a BBL. The BBL dissolved. She kind of went through second puberty and essentially naturally was able to get the butt that she worked and paid so much money for. Because somebody was like, they were like, oh, the BBL looks great now. Like, how long have you had it? She goes, oh no, it's gone. Then that's how I learned that it's like, when it's fat transfer, if you lose weight everywhere, even in your butt. And she's like, this is me. I just kind of had like a second puberty and then I got these hips. And she's like, I really wish I waited because that's thousands of dollars I could have used for something else.
Yeah.
And I'm just sense. Like, and sometimes it's like waiting.
And then, the brain's not fully developed. So you're making lifelong altering decisions before the yolk in your brain is
kind of like getting tattoos.
It's true.
Yeah. A lot of people go out, they'll get tattoos because I think you can start getting tattoos at 18.
Yeah.
The amount of people are like, the Friday the 13th, when I'm 18 years old, I'm getting a tattoo. And now they're 28 being like, yeah, laser removal.
Ooh.
I don't want this anymore.
Ooh.
Yeah. Honestly, you could say that about a lot of things.
That's what I was just thinking.
Dang. I'm like, piercings?
Piercings, but you can take them out. So
Right. But still, some of them will leave dents or the holes will never fully close.
I was just thinking about like also things that you do. Like people get addicted to cigarettes when they're like 18.
So everything's a cautionary. Don't do anything.
Don't
smoke. Don't get tattoos. Don't get a BBL.
Go home and sit down and stare at the floor.
Yeah. Don't even stare at the floor. Just close your eyes and sleep.
That's hibernate until you're 25 at least.
Crazy. Can you imagine everybody just waking up at 25 and trying to function in the world?
That would be pretty interesting.
That'd be so interesting.
Like you're a baby, but you're 25?
Yeah. Well, it's like you sleep from birth until you're 25.
Yeah. You're like in a pod somewhere.
Would that mean we just have 25-year-old, like you said, babies?
Yeah.
You can't walk.
You can't talk. You can't do anything. But you're a fully formed human.
And so that means that you aren't really fully legal and fully functioning until you're in your 40s.
Well, it depends. Maybe. What do you... We would have to see what it do. You know what I mean?
Well, okay. So let's just think of like the developmental stages of children. Yeah. Right. So typically, I would say I'm going to be talking like I know. I don't know.
We know. We're doctors and whatever the hell we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So babies, I think, are able to walk, talk by the time they're 2. Right. So if we're doing that from 25 at 27. Right, if we're assuming it's like a 1-to-1.
Assuming if it's 1-to-1.
Right? Well, I mean, yeah, because you're practically new to the world. You have no concept, right?
You see, but the issue is some things when you're, okay, for example, if you don't learn how to do math by the time you're like 13, like a certain level of math.
You'll never learn?
It's very, very, very hard for you to learn.
Interesting.
Like extremely hard.
Interesting.
So
if you start at 25,
if you start reading, I think it's easier for you to learn how to read when you're younger. It's easier for you to learn languages
they
when
always
you're younger.
say children are sponges.
Yes.
And so they absorb things, and that's how they're able.
Would it be a baby brain?
It would not be
still like juicy.
It's developing. It's actually, that's so interesting.
Would it still be juicy and it comes out and it's like, this is a baby's brain, but it's fully developed?
You want to know? You want to know something that's actually so interesting? That means that people who just have like a predisposition for things could be very powerful.
Oh,
if everybody waits
naturally,
right? Because I feel like, for example, you and I are more predisposed to be better at math than other people, because I feel as though with you going into a math career, me going into an engineering career, that's not just something that you pick lackadaisically. Even if you were to learn up until the age of 13, everybody learns math at seemingly the same rate. Just some people excel faster than others because they're more predisposed, right? So imagine if you wait till you're 25 and, like you said, certain concepts don't click. If you have somebody who's just really bad at math, when they're 25, it may never click. But then for the people who are maybe more predisposed to math, that means that those people will have a higher ruling over everyone else. It's the same for people who, like, what if you don't realize that you have what if you at 25 you realize you're dyslexic and you can't read?
And we're like, bro, you're 25.
Right, you got to keep going. And then at that point, I would start, if that was me, I'd start bargaining. I'd be like, Chanel, you're good at math and can't read. I can read, but I can't do math. Let's go. You know what
everybody's going to team up to make it through.
Exactly.
This is giving
utopian.
Dystopian. Yeah, it's giving dystopian. It's giving video game, choose your character type vibes.
We should write a book.
You see, we'll put all the back burner. Yeah, but that's the last thing we need right now. More stuff to do.
But you know what? Yes. But hear me out.
We got a little something there,
right? Because that's so interesting. Because it kind of gives a concept of Brave New World, right? Where they or 1984, which I haven't read, but I listened to the dramatized version with Andrew Garfield and Cynthia Erivo on
Amazon.
Is it Audible?
Audible, yeah.
Yes, Audible. So it's like that. It's like dystopian thing where it's like, I'm pretty sure, I think it was Brave New World where they were like controlling when you were allowed to have kids or whatever. Like they're growing children in like test tubes or something. I read it in high school.
I tried to read it as an adult and I'm not a fan. But I did read 1984.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's kind of that concept. What if there's some people who are allowed to be born and they grow up at 0, and then other people have to wait till they're 25.
Wow.
And imagine if the people who started from 0 and grew up to 25 had to be paired with someone who is 25 to help them navigate into the world.
Now, if we come up with a good world building that supports this random thing that we just came up with, we might have something.
Because I feel like the whole concept of that could be really interesting. Because I think the way that it would work is that people who have to live from the age of 0 to 25 are lower in the hierarchical sense, right? And the people who get to sleep are the ones who are more wealthy, because as soon as they wake up, they're effectively being taken care of. Mm-hmm. Now, the only thing, though, is we have to try to figure out a way in which we make it so sleeping for 25 years is a positive, not a negative, ways, right? Because now if we're saying you sleep for 25 years, you're effectively a baby. How do we ensure that by the time they wake up, they're not as far behind?
Now,
yes,
the pods.
Okay.
I feel like the pods bring you up to a certain level.
Right.
But you don't have any experience. Mm-hmm. You don't have any of the real world stuff. But your skills are at a certain level. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm trying to say? You don't start from 0.
Right.
You start from
maybe
wherever
75 or something.
Yeah.
Or what is it? Have you heard Gattaca?
Gattaca.
Right. Maybe it's kind of like Gattaca in a sense, right?
Designer babies.
Right.
And then you choose and you pick and you're like, okay, I want my child to be this. And okay, go ahead and intubate them for 20 years.
Yeah.
Watch out for Gattaca Part 2.
Yeah.
Near you.
I'm like, let me go on Google who made it and be like, do I have an idea for you?
Yep.
They're going to be, get away from me. Can you imagine? Have you ever, I wonder if people are ever bold enough to just cold drop a script to somebody.
Probably.
We should do that.
Worst comes to worst, they just
say no.
Yeah. When we finish our grad show pilot, we'll ship it off somewhere.
Issa Rae.
Issa. What's up, my girl?
Right. We black women. She's a black woman. She has her own production studio.
Hook us up, fam.
Please. We have a good idea. Because I had a conversation with somebody about this, about the fact that one of the hobbies that we have is we're trying to make a graduate show. Mm-hmm. And they told me it's a really great idea because grad school is a topic that most people widely know that grad school exists, but they know nothing about grad. And there's not a singular show, mainly because it's not relatable.
It's not.
And I think that's the reason why it doesn't sell. There's so many high school shows. There's so many college shows.
Everybody's been to high school. Most people have been to college.
Right. But in a general sense, right? Most people go to college, and then like the office job, like Parks and Rec or The Office. Most people end up in an office job, right? Stuff like that are relatable. And even still, like with Abbott Elementary, with the whole interview type style, it's still in an elementary school. Yeah. Those are things that people can. What is it? Even I just thought of like Grownish. They're things that people can attach to and be like, I've had those similar experiences. But since most people haven't gone to grad school, they think it's not relatable when they don't realize it's like grad school is essentially just high school, but you're like, 10 years older? Some people are like 5 to 10 years older.
Yep. High school on steroids.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it's still high school.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think the concept is really interesting because it's like nobody has really done that before.
Yeah.
And I think I'm so curious to know, like, when you put something like that out there where it's like, it's socializing people to the idea of grad school, will it cause a mass exodus or a mass influx of people to come in? Because you know what I mean? Where people are like, I saw that TV show and it kind of gave me an idea of what this is like. So I think I can do it because I watched the show and I can see the signs and I can navigate through it. Or, dang, I watched that show and I do not want to deal with that.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
But yeah, I like the fact that it's something that hasn't been done before. It touches on topics of like, hey, we are supposedly in grad school, you're building what are supposed to be the most technically qualified, the quote unquote smartest people in the world.
In the world. And you guys are stupid. And you have to deal with stupid people all day.
Because I don't know. It's in my mind, right? Like when I think about like high school or think about college, when things, for example, colleges have standardizations. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Credentials. They're they have a credential. They're accredited. When you have a credential, there's certain things. There's somebody who set a standard that these are the certain things that you need to be able to accomplish. These are the classes that you need to take to be able to get the degree. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to grad school, it's difficult to make an accreditation for something because everybody there is essentially making something up in a sense of you're discovering something new.
You're discovering something new. The curriculum is willy-nilly for every single department, and then how they determine how you get your degree is literally within the same department. It depends on who your advisor is.
Yes.
Some people are having an easy time. Other people are like, can I graduate? Nah, 7 years from now you can graduate.
And I feel like that's where it's difficult to say that we are the top percentages, mainly because it's like, I'm great in water purification. Right? I did 5 years in water purification. I could talk to you about that. But now the work that I did in water purification, because I'm not keeping up with it because I'm no longer in the field, I no longer am up to date. My work is being like, people are improving upon the work that I've done. So in a couple of years time, I'm not going to be a pro on that material anymore because I'm not keeping up with it.
Yep.
Right? So it's at that point, but do not take away my PhD. I worked hard for that. But at the same time, it's like, because there's no set baseline and it's not like it's translational over the course of years and years and years, there will reach a point where a lot of these PhDs will be like, what's the topic that you did? I did membrane stuff. And it's like, do you know about this new concept that came out 5 years after you got your PhD that seemingly revolutionized the water purification industry?
Nope.
Not a singular clue.
You gonna be out here reading those research articles and stuff?
I do sometimes. Yeah. But it's not like I go out of my way like I had to in graduate school to stay up to date to make sure. And it mainly wasn't even to like stay up to date. It was mainly to make sure that nobody was publishing something that I was trying to publish.
Yeah.
Because you need to make sure that like you keep up with the other competitors who are working in your same field to ensure that when you publish, you're the first, not the second. Because even if the work is being done at the same time, because typically how it works with a lot of grad school is everybody's working on, like if you're in a certain field, a lot of people are working on the same things at the same time.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like if it takes you 2 years in 2 months to get the work done, it could take somebody 2 years in 1 month. And they publish before you. And because you publish after, they're going to say, oh, you pulled from this other lab. It's a repeat of this other lab, when it's like, no, we didn't even know they were working on it until a month before we published.
Yes. No.
Anyway, we always find our way back to grad school. Let's get out of here.
Trauma.
Mm-hmm.
That's trauma.
We got scurvy.
Oh, God.
Where's that from?
Pirate show?
Yeah, but which one?
Is it the VeggieTales?
VeggieTales. Did you grow up watching the VeggieTales?
Occasionally. I think I was just confused by that show.
Would you like to talk to a tomato?
Yeah, I was confused by that show.
So VeggieTales is, to my knowledge, a like religion-based show.
Oh.
Because I only ever watched it in church.
Yeah.
And they always had a message related to the Bible.
You see, that's probably why I was confused.
Yeah. They would always be going on a journey. If I remember correctly, there were always different stories from the Bible that were reenacted by talking vegetables.
We had some weird television shows as children.
We sure did. But we also had really good ones. Did you ever watch Caillou?
Yeah.
What was your thoughts on Caillou?
Bald-headed boy.
Yeah, why'd they make him bald?
So bald.
You know,
both of his parents have hair.
we should not be laughing. I read somewhere they were saying Caillou might have cancer.
Yeah, people always come up with theories and stuff. I'm like, I don't know. Mm-hmm. They didn't explicitly say it, so.
But they never explicitly say things. It's all inference.
He's bald.
It's all inference.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, he was a little mean one.
He was a brat.
He was a brat.
He was a brat.
Always crying.
Yeah.
Did you know that's a French-Canadian show?
Yeah.
I was watching it in French.
Do you want to know another French show that I loved?
What?
Code Lyoko.
Yeah.
That show has such a special place in my heart. And the thing that really makes me angry is that the last couple of seasons, it completely changed the art style. Completely changed it. And it's not, I can't even finish it.
Yeah.
I remember I didn't even realize it was in French first. And Cartoon Network seemingly had all the great shows. Mm-hmm. Cartoon Network is what introduced me to Studio Ghibli. It's what introduced me to Code Lyoko. Like, Cartoon Network used to be the place. And I remember I'd be watching Code Lyoko, like, back to back to back to back to back. And so then when I was in college, I found that Code Lyoko was like, I don't remember what website, but there was a website in which you could watch every single episode for free, but it was in French. And it was solely in French. Mm-hmm. No subtitles. So I was sitting there like,
bonjour.
Yeah, with my limited like
oui, oui.
baguette.
Yes. Like, I think I understand.
Right? But I think that concept of the show, or the show itself, the entire concept was the first of its time. Like the idea of the integration of technology into the world. Like there's something in the interwebs that's working its way out to destroy civilization as you see it. Mm-hmm. And it's a bunch of kids where one of them is super smart. He's able to integrate your entire being into a game. Mm-hmm. So you're able to fight these monsters.
Yep.
I've seen I'm pretty sure there's animes that are like that as right now, that where it's like you're in a game and whatever. And it's like, but if you die in the game, you could potentially die in real life. That concept is something that is more prevalent nowadays. Yep. But I'm curious to know if Code Lyoko was the first to do it.
Maybe.
Because that show is kind of old, right?
Fairly. At least 2000s, early 2000s.
Early 2000s. I think it looks like it's early 2000s.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And when did the internet, it's been around since the 70s or so.
Maybe, yeah.
But it hasn't been in every household until like the 2000s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so interesting to me, though, like looking at things in the past. Because I'm like, for example, I recently watched, what's it called? 28 Days Later?
28 years.
No,
Wait, the original.
The original with Cillian Murphy.
Yes.
And I went to go watch it in the theater because 28 Years Later is coming out soon, right?
I keep forgetting that.
And so I went to the theaters and I'm watching and I'm like, dang, The quality's bad.
It's old.
But that's the thing, though, right? At the time, did it look this bad?
No. We used to be watching VHS tapes like our TVs used to make noise. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? You turn on your TV and you're like, I hear a noise.
You hear the hum.
Yeah, the hum.
It's just it's interesting to me because I'm like, it probably was all, it's like, how do I phrase this? It's like, is it because the modems in which we're able to watch are improving? You know what I mean? Like if I went to go get an old VHS TV where like that movie was originally played on, would it look bad or would it look good? It's
still gonna look bad.
Interesting.
I think it's a combination of both what they filmed on and the output. Mm-hmm. So it'd probably look even worse if you watched it on actual VHS. But now that we have our better technology, the new screens, it looks better. Mm-hmm. But it was still filmed on those old cameras, so it still looks bad.
So there's
versus now, there you have better cameras and all that crap.
Because the movie, so when I went to the theater to go and watch 28 Days Later, this is one of the things that I like to do. I like to see how many people get up after a movie is over. And if I see most of the people are sitting, I don't try to move. They actually showed a preview of 28 Years Later in the screening of 28 Days Later.
Period.
Right? And the jump was jarring.
You were like, am I in the movie?
Literally. I was like, let me touch you, Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Hey.
I can reach you. It's immersive.
Don't pull the man out the screen.
And so it was just like that going from back to back. I was just like, whoa. Because at the beginning, I was like, oh, this quality is really bad. By the end of it, I got used to it.
Yeah.
And then when it jumped to the new one with Aaron Taylor Johnson, I was like, what is happening? Like, my brain is not able to comprehend what I just witnessed.
Yes.
But I think that what you brought up is a really good point. It's probably the fact that it was the cameras. Because it's like there's only so much you can do if the starting material is not that great.
Yes. Because even if like you remember when we had older iPhones, you
Yeah.
would take a video on an older iPhone and then you'll see a video from like today's age,
Yeah.
so like an old meme versus a new meme, whatever,
Yeah.
on TikTok or whatever, Vine or whatever. And you look at the difference, it's like, dang, this one was filmed with a potato.
Yeah.
And this new one is like nice and juicy.
See, but I would like to actually, speaking of that though, because I have videos on my phone from when I first got my phone in 2017. The quality doesn't look that different.
From 2017 to now, here's the thing.
Yeah.
The curve
It's
of
like,
things improving has slowed down.
I see.
If we got an iPhone 1
oh yeah,
versus today, that's a potato.
yeah.
But if I go back, I have a 13. If I compare my 13 today,
Yeah.
which is they're on 16,
Yes.
it's going to be pretty much the same. It's not
Yeah.
going to be a huge difference at all.
Mine it was a 10 that these were filmed with.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not going to be a huge difference. But you take that 10 and you compare it to the 1.
Yeah.
That's two different journeys.
That's really interesting.
It's like the earlier YouTube videos, completely different thing.
Yeah. That's true.
Has a charm.
It does have a charm.
But yeah.
Nostalgia factor.
I feel like with technology, I feel like we've reached a threshold to where we're not
For
gonna
right
get,
now.
We're not going to get that much more improvement.
There's going to be something that... Because I feel like people probably thought the same thing until like, I don't know, until the Apple stuff started coming out. Where they thought technology had reached its peak up until it's like, oh, something happens.
New thing.
Yeah.
Which our new thing's supposed to be AI, but...
I hope. I mean, it's already everywhere. The new computer that I have has a Copilot button.
Yeah.
I didn't want that.
They're forcing it. Every company is forcing it.
Yeah, I don't like it. But actually going back to a topic I liked was the 28 whatever franchise. Because you got me into it. Yes. Because you were talking about it's like 28 Years Later is coming out. You're like, you have to see the first movie. You have to see the first movie. Da-da-da-da-da. I actually watched it out of order, where I watched 28 Weeks Later before I watched 28 Days Later.
I have a question. Where's 28 Months Later? I'm going to need them. Go ahead and do a little, you know what I mean? Like, we're going to need the, okay, never mind. But continue. Why skip months?
I don't know.
I digress.
28 months, that's like a little over 2 years.
Yeah. We did the days.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. Action. Weeks? We could have skipped the weeks.
No, I think we need the weeks. I for sure think you need the months, but the weeks. Because, have you watched 28 Weeks Later?
I have not.
So my thing is, the reason why I believe you need 28 months, do you care about spoilers?
Was it a crazy spoiler to where if you tell me it's going to ruin the integrity of the movie? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. I feel like I personally don't think so. And I also hit my mic. I personally don't think so. But I'm going to save it. I'm going to save it and let you watch it yourself.
Okay.
But I'm really curious to know. I personally think they needed 28 months later because based on how 28 weeks later ended, I don't understand why 28 years later is a movie.
Period.
So that's why I feel like we need 28 months because there's something that had to happen between 28 weeks to 28 years to get to that point. And I do believe because they're bringing on the original creators of the movies, right? The guy who I think worked on the 28 days, 28 weeks is making the 28 months. And then Cillian Murphy, I think, is on as like an executive producer or a producer of this movie. So they're trying to maintain true integrity to the first movie.
Yeah.
But my thing is, I think it can make sense to go from 28 days later to 28 years later, but then you have to completely ignore 28 weeks later. And that would make sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm curious to know what you thought. I had to watch that movie twice on the plane because I watched it on the way to British Airways, the way to London on British Airways. And I fell asleep the first time. So the movie went through. I fell asleep and I woke up and I was like, let me just watch this movie because when am I going to be able to watch it for free?
And those movies are hard to find. I think now they're coming up because the
new movie's coming out. But it's like $4 to rent.
You know, I was looking earlier and it was like maybe 6 months ago, and it was like you couldn't find that crap
anywhere.
I
know because you were telling me that I should. When the trailer came out for 28 Years Later, you were like, you have to watch specifically 28 Days Later.
Which, let's talk about it. I don't remember what you thought about that movie.
I really liked it. I think I told you that I really liked it. It was
That's a good movie.
It's a quality movie. The only thing I said to you was like, what was the need to have full frontal nudity of Cillian Murphy?
He's Cillian Murphy. I don't know.
No, it makes absolutely no sense.
I don't know.
Because he explained how he got into an accident. That makes sense. The accident put him into a coma.
Yes.
Because he was a delivery person and he accidentally got into a car accident. Yes. Makes sense. Him in a coma. Makes sense. Makes sense while he's left by himself in the hospital. It's not clear to me if you have a head injury while you're butt naked.
You see, however, in hospitals, they make you get naked.
But why did they leave you naked?
I don't know. You wear the little thing?
That's what I'm saying. It'd be different if he was wearing the little thing.
You normally wear the little thing.
Was no blanket. Nothing. Full naked.
Now we need 28 minutes later to see what happened to his clothing.
That would be really interesting.
Because, you don't see the apocalypse happen.
You just know it happens.
Yeah.
I'm actually, I have questions on how it spread. Because the whole reason why they had this apocalypse in the first place is because they were doing science experiments on monkeys, and they made like this aggression drug where each one of these monkeys were infused with aggression, and if you couldn't get in contact with their saliva or their blood or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And so these people, they're trying to let these monkeys free. They get bitten, all that jazz, all that stuff. But it's pretty self-contained in the room. You know what I mean? Like the scientist who was like, don't do that. You could have locked down that room. So I don't understand how they went from, because the scene ended with like one of the girls opening it, the monkey jumping, biting her. Then she starts twitching. She bites another person. And the guy's like, it's happening. I need to call somebody. And then it just kind of cuts. And we jump to... Like, I think there's a lot of, like, hysteria, and then we jump to Cillian Murphy, like, naked in the bed.
And he's like, what happened? Yeah. I feel like... I think it's kind of like infectious diseases. they just tend to spread, and I think it's because human error a lot of the time. So like if you were dealing with these monkeys and you know that, I'm assuming that he knew that that was a potential that could happen if, you know, it could spread to humans, possibility, right? You think you would have better procedure to immediately lock down the room, maybe have like more secure facilities. You have to go through multiple doors that are locked to kind of da-da-da. Humans drop the ball. And so if one of those people get out, it's over.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the way that it made it seem like it happened was they got bit and everybody in the room started getting bit and getting turned, and the lead scientist was getting scared. He fight, flight, or freeze, he froze.
Yeah.
And then because of that, now whatever, the door's still unlocked, they're out, and I think that's how it spread.
Yeah, and it was over. Because the way that they depict the disease or whatever, scary.
Yeah.
Scary. Like, girl, please don't let that happen to us, because I'm going to be the first one out. I'm just going to be like, bite me. I can't do this.
You wouldn't try to fight?
I'm going to try, because obviously, you know, we have an innate ability to want to
survive,
live.
yeah.
But I don't think I'm going to make it.
See, so here's the thing, right? If it wasn't like it was a painful death, I go back and forth.
Your body's still alive.
Yeah, because it's someone who's eating you, essentially.
Yeah.
Right? And that's how you get turned, is you're pretty much being eaten alive.
Terrifying.
First before you're turned. So for a little bit,
Yeah.
you feel the pain of someone literally trying to rip your neck out.
Yeah.
That's not something I want.
That's not something I want.
So I would also try to fight. But I don't know. Like, this is a moment where I'm like, I wish I had certain skill sets where it's like, I need to be a better runner. I need to be like more skilled.
We gotta get in the gym.
I know.
We gotta walk that 10K.
Yeah. We need to start lifting, because it's like, you know, we have like a go bag or something. You need to be able to carry that. But stuff like that, because watching the first movie with Cillian Murphy's character, and I think her name is Naomi. Yeah. Naomi. She was badass. But like, she was very strong, very skilled, and he wasn't quite as skilled, but he was able to keep up.
He's like, I just woke up from a coma, bro.
Right,
I could barely use my legs.
Which makes sense. But like, you need to be able to be stealthy. You need to be able to know where you can get things, because they had a bunch of supplies. They had a bunch of tools. So they were able to utilize them and be able to like divert attention so that they don't get caught.
Mm-hmm. Would we be able to do that?
The thing is, separately, maybe not. Together, for sure.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so let's set the stage.
Okay.
We're in the apocalypse. Let's just put it in that universe, because that's just...
Yeah, it makes sense.
Right? So we're in that apocalypse. There's a disease out here, rage, that if you are in contact with blood, saliva, whatever, with these sick people, or they bite you or whatever, you will turn into a zombie, essentially. So when it first breaks, do you remember... It was in England, right?
Yeah.
So if that happened in England, it would take some time to get over here.
Not that much time, though.
Not that much time.
I would
because
say
we have plane. All it takes is one person on a plane.
So that's what happened in the movie. It said that I think it was within 2 to 3 days after they found out what was going on in England, it hit New York.
Yeah.
Because somebody on the plane, someone on the plane had it, got everybody in the plane infected, and then the plane made it. And then the airport and so on and so forth.
That's all it takes.
It's kind of like COVID-19. That's exactly what happened with COVID.
Yep. One person on plane. So the second it gets here, okay, so it touches down in New York. One person from New York to California. That's going to happen very quickly.
Within days, if not hours.
Yeah. And so...
I would say the moment it touchdowns in New York, you have about 6 to 8 hours before it hits California. Yeah. Because of the time it takes to get from... the airport to
one flight.
Yeah.
And both areas are popular, so it's over. North and south.
Yep.
We're going. So touchdown in England. We have a week. US, we're done.
Yep.
So
I already know what I would do.
What are we doing?
So the moment that it hits, because we're gonna know it hits New York first, because that's kind of how it happened with COVID-19, right? We knew it hit Europe before it hit the United States, before we had a case.
Yep.
And within, I think, like you said, within like 10 to 12 hours, we had a case in the big populated cities.
Yep.
As soon as we know it's there, immediately we're calling each other and we're getting to the same location. Because the amount of time it takes to get from New York to California is the amount of time I can get in my car to you.
Yep.
Right? So within the time that it's hit, we are in a gas station with gas, and now we have about 300 some miles to get someplace.
Yeah.
Meaning that we should be, like, I call you and I'm like, Chanel, I'm getting in my car. I'm driving to you 6 hours. You find canisters of gas or canisters to get gas. Get enough gas to get us at least 1,000 miles, right? So you get those filled. And I'm like, I'm coming with my bag. I'm coming with my stuff. I'm going to see you in like 7 hours.
Yep.
And in 7 hours, we're going to...
And you drive.
Because I think having a mobile vehicle is the best way to start.
Yes.
Because the thing is, regardless of the fact that these are animals, I guess they are in animalistic tendencies.
We're
these
all
people,
animals, right?
True. These people have the rage. They still cannot move at the rate as a car, and they can't get into a car.
Yes.
Right? So you have those protections. So having a vehicle is the best bet.
A1.
Right? And then we probably want to use my car, my Honda Civic, because it has less than 45,000 miles, right? Or something like that. And Hondas can last quite a long time.
Yep. And then there's a bunch of Hondas, so if we need to repair something.
Exactly. And then fuel mileage is also better on a Honda.
Yes.
So that's why I'm coming to you rather than you coming to me.
Yes.
So that's kind of where we start.
Yes.
So essentially the plan would be I grab anything and everything that I can in my house, because we can't, once we hear it's hit in New York, we can't waste time. Because like I said, we have about 6 to 7 hours before it hits.
As long as the second touchdown in New York, as long as you leave then, you will be able to make it through LA. Because if you wait too long, there could be a barricade. There's not that many roads to get past LA. Once you get in LA, there's a bunch of roads. But there's like 2 places you can go down.
Yep.
If that. So.
Exactly. So that's the reason why it's like you're going to be the one to grab the resources.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to bring whatever I have already in my car or already in my house.
Go bag.
But like I'm grabbing it and going.
Yep.
Because I need to get on the road immediately. So I'm calling you on when I'm already on the road. Meaning like, Chanel, I'm on the road. I'm going to be filling up at this place at this time, meaning that I'm going to get to you at this hour. And the hope is that by the time I get to you, by the time you get into my car, we should be getting notice that California has its first official case of rage.
And then we got to go. But where are we going to go? Are we going to hunker down? Because...
So at that point, by the time it hits California, right, that means it's hit 2 populous areas. I'm just assuming that by the time it hits California, that majority of the northeastern part of the United States is practically almost fully infected.
Yeah.
And it's working its way down. There's nowhere at this point that's safe.
Yeah.
So anywhere we go is an
danger.
issue. Yes.
Yeah. So we just have to choose the best.
I think we try to go and find like abandoned places.
Yeah.
You know?
I was going to say like campsite type vibes, forest, or like somewhere that's like remote.
Yes.
And less people.
Yeah.
That's where you want to go.
But at the same time, we also need to start figuring out how we can make our own type of barricade.
Yeah.
Because the thing is,
we need a shelter, we need all that crap, and a place where we can just, this is us.
Or where would that be?
Well, because it depends on how bad it gets.
Yeah.
If it's nobody, it's going to be me and you, and we're going to be like, there's an abandoned house right there.
Yeah.
Let's go in and clear it.
See, but the concerns that I have with abandoned houses is like abandoned houses are easy to get into. What I like about apartment complexes, like my specific, there's floors, right? We can keep those down, and even if somebody with the rage sees us, there's no easy accessible way to get up to like where I'm at.
Effort.
It takes significant effort.
In the house.
Exactly.
The only problem with that is those apartment buildings are normally, especially the big ones like this, the big ones, they're normally in more populous areas.
Yeah. No, it's true.
So anytime we leave that place, red alert. So there's no really good choice.
No, of course not. But that's the whole point about the apocalypse.
The apocalypse.
There's no good choice.
Yeah.
You're predisposed. Like, the thing is that I find the 28 franchise so interesting is that it comes across that you're waiting for your end.
Yeah. You're just postponing the inevitable.
Exactly. Because the longer that you wait to be able to find a solution, the less people who are around to be able to find said solution.
Yeah.
And you're just hoping for the best. Because no matter how long no matter like how safe you are, you will eventually run out of food. You will eventually run out of water. So you'll eventually have to leave your place. And the longer that you're detached from the outside world, the harder it is for you to navigate because things are going to be rapidly changing.
And you don't know what's going on. And let's talk about another apocalypse story that I read. It's a book. It's called I Who Have Not Known Men, something like that. And this book is about a woman. I think she's probably like 20 or younger, 20 around there. And she, ever since she was a child, she's been in this prison. She doesn't know where she is. She doesn't know any of the people that are being held with her. They're all women. And there's guards that watch them. All the guards are men. They all wear uniform. And they just watch them all day. None of the women can hug. They can't do specific rules. You can't do this. You can't do that. Whatever. They eat the same times every day and they do all this stuff. And so she's just confused, right? So I'm going to spoil this unless you want to read it.
No.
Okay. Very good, even if I spoil it. So for this, there's one day where an alarm goes off, right? And so all of the guards stop what they're doing. They drop everything and they grab whatever and they run. All the guards run away. And so the prisoners are like, what's going on? Luckily, it was feeding time for them. And so one of the guards left the gate open. And so they got out and they're like, where did all the guards go? Gone, without a trace. And so they're like, we're free. Like, we've been in this prison. And it was the case where some of the older ladies remember like the past a little bit. They had families, they had husbands and, other things, lives before that, right? That they remember kinda, And so they get out and they're like, okay, well, let's try to survive and figure out what's going on and let's do it. So they grab supplies and then they go outside. Or they go outside first and they're like looking around. Okay, there's nothing for miles. We're just seeing like hillsides and like grass and just normal stuff, right? So they go back in, they grab supplies, and they are like, eventually they decide like, okay, let's go explore and see if we can find somebody else to figure out what's going on. They go explore, walk. They run into a prison that looks just like their prison.
Okay. They
go inside of that prison. There are 40 dead women, the same 40 that were in theirs. 40 dead women, different women, but 40 dead women in the cage, in the prison, right? 40 dead women, no guards, no nothing. And so it was the case where they're putting two and two together. When the alarm went off, these people's guards ran away, but their door was locked. And so they starved to death. And so in the 40 days we've been walking over here, these people were starving to death and now they're dead. And so they're like, okay, that's not good. Let's keep walking and see if we can find whatever. They find multiple prisons. Of these prisons. Some of them have 40 men. Some of them have 40 women. All these people, unfortunately, are dead. And so this continues. It's this whole story. So there's a whole bunch of stuff in there, but eventually people start getting old. The older women start dying in the group, and eventually, years, it whittles down to our main character. The young girl at the beginning of the story, she's the last one to survive because she was a lot younger than the rest of them. And
they're just walking.
There's nothing. Like, they can stay in the prisons if they wanted to, but they're like, I don't want to stay in a place where a bunch of people died. And so homegirl, I can't remember if she figures this out while other people are there. She does a lot of exploring on her own as well. The only clues we get, she stumbles across a bus. Bunch of dead guards on the bus. All of them are dead. And it's like just a bus broke down in the middle of a road. And so she goes to explore and she sees she's looking at their kits and all that stuff, but no answers. She eventually finds a bunker. First one she's found. Everything, it's just been prisons and hillside. So she goes into the bunker and it's a whole nice setup. Yeah. It's like a little, cozy place to live. Nobody's there. Nobody's dead in there. Nobody's there. And so she's looking at books, and there's a book that's like, I don't remember the title, but it's like Man's Guide to the Stars, or astronaut, space travel, something like that, right? That type of book. It's like super technical and like mathematical equations, right? And so she doesn't know what any of that means because she was a child when she was taken. And so eventually she tries exploring more, but she eventually gets old and she ends up dying. At the end of the story, she dies. And she's like, I hope somebody in the future find this note. And, you know, I never figured out what was happening, and we're done.
I'm so glad I didn't read that.
So good.
I would have wasted my time.
It's so good.
No.
It's so good.
You know I don't like stuff like that.
You don't like stuff like that. That's why I spoiled it for you.
Yeah.
But that's why I didn't tell you to read it. Angelica read it, though, and she liked it. I know my friends.
I did not like,
So good. But if we were in that apocalypse, what are you doing?
I mean, I guess I'm walking.
Because they did, and we could talk about theories as well, because I was wondering what, like, was going on the entire time. Like, what's the scenarios? What could it be? But they tried walking in, like, certain patterns. Nothing for miles. And you just keep running into these prisons. She was figuring out, like, if I go this direction and that direction, there's another prison there and that kind of stuff. So she's smart. She was doing her due diligence, but...
See, so here's the thing. I think I would walk, because obviously you're going to want to stay with the people that you know. I think, though, at some point, after walking so many years and finding that every single place that you go to, people are dead, and not even knowing how long, right? Because you don't know, you don't have an idea of, like, how long the bodies are. Like, I don't know if the book, they, like, talked about, like, the state of decay. I feel like at some point, because they seemingly were able to find enough food to be able to survive off of the whatever. I mean, I feel like at some point, you just have to stop, you know, and just kind of live the life that you...
Accept.
The same way that you kind of accepted that you lived in the prison all that time.
Yeah.
You know? Because it's like, if you keep walking, and I'm assuming, like, if she went from being a small child to being, like, a middle-aged person. So let's just say that she started at 5, and she's now somewhere in her, like, late 40s, early 50s. Why do you want to continue? Like, it makes sense after everybody died and she's by herself. Like, you're not going to be by yourself. You might as well keep going.
Yeah.
But why don't you just want to spend that time with the people that you care about, not searching for answers when after all this time?
You see, she's a very, let me give you an example of the type of person she is. So when she was in the prison, she had her inner monologue, right? And so she learned how to count time.
Okay.
There's no clocks, right?
Right.
She counted her heartbeats.
Interesting. Okay.
And she got so good at it to the point where she could go to sleep and still consciously count her heartbeats. So she would know how long she was asleep for and know, like, okay, we eat at this time, we do this at that time. Blah, blah, blah. She's a very, like, answers. And she was, like, very plotting and, like, scheming, like, I'm going to get out of here type vibe. And so she just seems like that person.
You know what's so interesting to me, too? What would have happened if the gate was never opened?
They would have died.
Yes. But at the same time, would that just mean everyone's dead?
Everyone on the planet or wherever the hell they are.
Exactly. That's the part that's so interesting to me.
Yeah.
It's like, if the gate never opened and you guys had died, you wouldn't know and nothing, but...
And would it be any difference? We still didn't know anything. And I guess we lived to live. Crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for the ideas of, like, where they were and stuff like that, there's no seasons on wherever the hell they were. And so it's like, okay, maybe they were, like, abducted by aliens, maybe, and, like, taken to a planet. But why were they in prison? What were they trying to do? You don't know.
Interesting.
But yeah, funky things.
Yes. I'd never read it.
It was very good.
I'm glad you liked it.
Very good. Crazy. It's just her inner monologue was top notch.
Okay. I'll believe you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About it.
Do you want to tell the title for people who might be interested?
Yeah.
After you gave away the entire.
Who have
I thought it was
never known men.
And
I think it's by I Who Have Never Known Men.
Okay.
I think it's by Jacqueline Harper or something like that.
Okay.
And it was written in like 1960.
Interesting. I wonder what she was going through to have written that book.
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot. Damn.
Yeah. Shoot.
And have you ever heard of this movie called Vivarium?
It sounds like a disease.
We might have to watch that. Just because.
Is Vivarium a disease?
Vivarium? No. It could be. But I think Vivarium, like aquarium.
Okay.
Vivarium. I think I looked it up one time, but I forgot what it means. But it has a...
I think I'm thinking of like a Lil Wayne lyric from Look at Me Now.
Look at me now.
Vivarium.
Yeah.
It's his.
Getting paper. Look at me.
You're gonna have to go through the whole song to get to Lil Wayne. Yeah, so we'll just look at it because I'm not sitting and listening to you sing Chris Brown, Busta Rhymes.
Look at me now. Oops, I said oh my. I didn't even say oh my. Anyways.
Yeah, exactly. But we'll look at it because I think there's something about the way that you said Vivarium that's making me think of I can't think of exactly what he said. But it's really close, and he says disease after that.
I think that's from a different song. Tougher than Nigerian hair, your career to compare. I'm like a venereal disease, like a menstrual bleed.
Yeah, there you go.
That's from is it from Look at Me Now? It's either that one or 6 foot 7 foot.
Yeah, 6 foot 7 foot.
One of those two.
Okay.
Yes.
But it is Lil Wayne.
It is Lil Wayne.
Okay.
Venereal.
And yes. You said Bavarian.
Bavarian.
Okay, that's where okay, go. Okay, yes. Continue.
This one we should watch. It has our favorite actor in there, Jesse Eisenberg.
Okay.
Yeah. But
I thought you were going to bait and say an actor that we don't actually like. Okay.
But that one, it's not that good.
Oh.
But the concept makes you think.
Okay. So. Let's see if it's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
If we have time.
Yeah, if we have time. But yeah, I think that's a good place to
I'm tired.
Wrap it up.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm taking a pump of my inhaler, wherever that is.
Dang, girl, you can't breathe?
Yeah, I can't.
Damn. It'd be like that.
It's been a long day.
Well, let's just hope we don't have an apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
But if we do, we have our go bags.
Yes.
And you're going to put an inhaler in your go bag eventually.
Eventually.
So you'll survive.
If not, if that's how I got to go, it's how I got to go.
Especially if we're the 28 days
At least on my own terms, you know?
Yeah.
I decided not to put that in there. I decided.
We might have to have a pact of a certain sort. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Alrighty. Nice talking to you, Cindy, as always.
Yep, I know, because I'm great.
Yeah, exactly. Period.
Bye.
Bye. Is someone knocking on my door? Hello? Open the door. Open the door. I'm filming a podcast right now. Goodbye.
Hi.
You want to say hi to the podcast?
No, thank you.
Okay, bye.